Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I'm here with Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses, founder of HealthyBlackWoman.com. And before we get into our topic, I want to ask Nomalanga, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, boys. How are you?
Fine, fine. Now that we've got our pleasantries out of the way, I want to start arguing with you a little bit because you and I were just in such stark disagreement about this Georgia teacher who, let's see, her name was Lekeshia something. I'm going to pull her name up in a minute. But anyway, she had taken some nude selfies and they were on her phone, and some students, her middle school students, found the pictures, and she ended up being fired by the school district for a lot of stuff. I think they cited the fact that she was careless with her phone. Then they mentioned that she'd done something else that had to do with getting a bank loan without, or she forged her contract or something to get a loan. Which right there, I mean, that's a problem. That would be technically bank fraud if that's true. And so I was curious, what do you think about just what happened, what the punishment was, all of that?
Well, when I heard the story, what I heard was that she got fired because some of the kids broke into her phone or stole her phone and looked into it. And then when the school found out that they saw naked pictures of her in her own phone, they fired her. I wasn't aware of the other part about the fraud. And just that by itself really made me mad because I feel like she's more the victim here than those students because her privacy was invaded and in a very big way. She has the right to do with her phone what she wants. As long as she's not using the school email, which she wasn't. She's not using their network, which she wasn't. I can't see any way in which she misappropriated school resources that got her fired if we're just talking about those pictures. Now, they may be distasteful, but that's a matter of opinion, and people can do with their opinion what they want, but it should not lead to her getting fired.
Well, it's kind of a sticky thing, right? The question to me is, what do you do after that? I mean, okay. First of all, I can just say this: if if I was in the eighth grade and one of my friends found naked pictures of our hot teacher, it would be like the biggest thing to ever happen in that school in the last 100 years. I mean, it would literally. I mean, our heads would probably have exploded. Because remember, when you're that age, you ain't seen nothing like that, right? Maybe things have changed now.
Ideally.
Well, right, ideally, and maybe things have changed now because you got the internet. Kids can Google all kinds of stuff, which is a whole nother conversation. It's totally warping their minds. I feel so bad for them, but so okay, so under the assumption that pretty much every single child in that school knows about these pictures and or has probably seen them, because remember they were incredibly disrespectful. They created a Facebook page for her, and it was called Thought. Thought, THOT, stands for that hoe over there, and it comes from the rapper 2 Chainz. Now, anybody who says that kids don't absorb what these rappers say is an idiot, because this is a perfect example. They would have known about a thought if 2 Chainz hadn't told them what a thought was, right? Now, with that being said, this has all gone down. Everybody's seen the picture. Everybody's talked about it. It's the talk in school. How does that teacher come to class every day? I mean, how can, I mean, and kids are going to know about this for the next 10 years. It ain't. I mean, the new generation will be indoctrinated into the Thought Facebook page. How does this teacher get put in front of those students every day? For the rest of the year, let alone 2, 3, 4, 5 more years, with this having occurred.
Well, I want to challenge whoever is of the mindset that she did something wrong to you just come with me on this journey. Supposing she had maybe gotten attacked, raped, and somebody recorded it and then decided to broadcast that. Now, everybody's going to know about it. Everybody's going to think about it every time they see her. But does that justify punishing her for what happened to her? Because they violated her privacy. Now, mind you, the violation is not extreme. I'm not in any way saying somebody looking at your naked picture on a phone is the same as being raped. I don't even want that to be a comparison. But those are two forms of violation, and one may be not as extreme as the other, but she was violated. Somebody looked where they shouldn't have been looking and then broadcast something they shouldn't have been broadcasting, and it ended up bringing a light on her that she did not intend. That's the first thing. The second thing is I hear people saying that, well, she's a teacher, she should know better. Know better to do what? Are you saying teachers don't have the right to do in their private lives what they want? Because I have news for you. All the teachers who have kids are doing something in their private lives that we all don't see, but it's happening. So she was doing something that we should not have seen, those students should not have seen. And they violated her privacy so that now everybody saw something that they should not have seen. I really don't think it's any different than somebody, if she had been a married woman, minding her own business, doing what two adults do at night, and somebody had peeped through her window and taken a video of that and then put it up somewhere and then embarrassed and humiliated her in that way. They invaded her privacy.
Okay. I think that's a legitimate perspective. I'm not going to say that that's wrong, but I think that we have to be clear in that that is not what happened to her, right? You know, it's like if someone makes a sex tape and it gets out onto the internet. Okay, yeah, your privacy was violated, but nobody made you make a sex tape. Nobody forced you to do it. And now, if somebody forced you to do it, or if somebody recorded you and you didn't know you were being recorded, then that's obviously, I think, a whole different conversation. But when you've recorded it and you've put that, you have to some extent, I think you mentioned the word broadcast. You to some extent have broadcast your personal life. You've put it on some electronic device for other people to see. Now, your intention was only for one person to see it, maybe, or two, or whatever. We're not here to judge. But then the question is, how careless are you when you then hand that device over to a child who might stumble across this thing that is intended for another person? It seems to me that I could just say this. If I were taking selfies on my phone, I wouldn't then just hand my phone over to a child and then say, you violated me because you went into the phone I just gave you and looked at pictures that I took of myself. So again, I mean, but I think we know that this is right? Like, the kids were disrespectful. They shouldn't have created the Facebook page. The kids shouldn't have been looking at the phone. You know, your hot teacher's got naked pictures. You shouldn't look at them. It's bad, right?
Did she hand them the phone though?
From what I read, she let the child use her phone to make a phone call, to call home. And the story was really confusing in that it looked like she let them use the phone twice. Mm-hmm. And somehow she later on said, well, they were able to get around the code and something. I don't know. I just know that it's just messy, right? I mean, and now what did the school, were they justified in firing her? Maybe not. Maybe she needs a lawyer, you know? I mean, this is just, I don't know if this, I mean, this seems like uncharted territory, right? I mean, has anything like this ever happened before?
Definitely is uncharted territory. So whatever they decide is going to set a precedent. But I do still feel like too much focus is being put on what she's doing in her own personal life and judging her for that, instead of looking at just the plain facts, which are that somebody broke into her phone and then published some private information, and that was a violation of her privacy, and then she's being punished for it. And I did hear, I did see some Facebook threads where some people said, well, I hope those kids get punished as well, so punish her and punish them. And then I also saw some other extreme things that said, well, how dare she, we put her in charge of our kids, and what kind of a woman is she, and all this other stuff. And that's what I don't like. We don't have a right to judge what she does in her private life. I will say, though, I used to teach at a college, and I used to tell my students that from the time I got my first job as a college professor, I did not go to a nightclub, because I said to them, I was like, can you imagine me backing it up in the club and I back into you? That's just not going to work. So I had to understand that a part of my life that I may have had the freedom to enjoy, I no longer enjoy because of the possibility of running into my students. So maybe we could hold that to the same standard, hold her to that same standard, but I still don't get how you can not do what you want with your own phone or your own devices or whatever it is, because she didn't upload it to the internet. She didn't She didn't try to sell it. It was just a private thing.
So do you think that some of this is gender bias? Like, do you think that people are judging her more harshly because she's a woman?
Of course, there was some stories. I can't remember. I think it was from New Jersey. The guy who was called Wiener, ironically.
Oh, Anthony Weiner. Yep.
Yes, and he sent it electronically to somebody. And, you got a few giggles here and there about, the fact that he did that. But it wasn't overly focused on his character wasn't attacked because of that. They just kind of giggled a little bit and then thought, well, the problem here isn't that he did that. It's more so that he sent it to somebody who wasn't his wife.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to say if you use the Anthony Weiner analogy, which is so funny, his name is Weiner. I mean, that's just so funny. I would argue that his character was evaluated as a result of this. I mean, I think that he was looked at as an adulterer. He was looked at as a crazy pervert, right? And that's why he stepped down. He certainly wasn't a hero, right? It wasn't like people were like, "Yeah, all right, man." Now, mind you, there are probably some guys who might applaud the fact that he was sleeping with a younger woman, but I don't think the public as a whole saw it that way. And then the same thing is true, I think, with Lekeshia's case, Lekeshia Jones, that's her name. While there are people who would say, "What kind of woman are you to take a nude selfie on your phone?" There might be other people. There's a whole variety of responses, right? So there might be some people who say, "What kind of woman are you who's stupid enough to let your nude selfies get in the hands of children?"
Right.
There are a whole lot of people that do all kinds of stuff in their bedroom, but they make sure the kids don't see it. Right. And then there might be people on other extremes who say, "Oh, it's wrong for the school to fire her. She has a right to do whatever she wants." But that's the question. I mean, we have a right to do what we want in our bedroom, level 1. We also have a right to record it if we want, level 2. But do we have a right to then let children see what we've done? That's level 3. And I think that's where people are having a problem, is not level 1 or even level 2, but really level 3.
Okay, 2 points. First of all, with Weiner, there are 2 things. It was the fact that he photographed that, and then the fact that he sent it, and who he sent it to. So just using your same process, there's 3 levels there. We didn't judge him for taking the picture necessarily. We were shaking our heads when he was sending it. And then we were really shaking our heads to who he sent it to. So the issue wasn't necessarily that he was judged for taking it. He was kind of judged, you're in public office and you're sending stuff electronically, or that stuff electronically. That was kind of the problem. I think she's being assassinated on a level that she doesn't deserve. In other words, there are people who are saying you shouldn't have let the kid get a hold of it. So that's my second thing is, but she didn't let them. They broke in. And that's the violation that I'm talking about. But
by handing them your phone, you are somehow complicit to what occurred. I mean, right. I mean, kids are going to be kids, right? Kids are going to try to do what they're going to do. And some might say, you didn't have to let that child use your phone. You could have told them, "Look, my phone doesn't work," or "You're not allowed to." In fact, the school, if I'm not mistaken, has a policy that says you don't use personal phones for school business. Right. And maybe that's why they have the policy, because there's no telling what's on your phone. If you're sick or you have a virus and your phone has the virus on it, and one of the kids gets sick from using your phone, that's a liability. I don't know what the reason would be, but maybe there's a reason that policy was in place.
Right. I hear you, and I do hear what you're saying, but my bottom line is still that, even if the kids do get punished for what they did, which they should, I still feel like she was punished too harshly. I don't even really think she should have been punished. I think maybe they could have given her some options in terms of, look, this is not going to stop. They're not going to be able to focus on class after seeing these pictures. Can we agree to part ways in an amicable way? And, you take your, whatever the pay is for the rest of the term or the rest of the year. That I could be comfortable with, and she probably would have wanted to leave after all that humiliation. But where I hear she was just fired after that happened to her, I think that was harsh.
Well, I think that that's where we can certainly agree. I don't think she deserved to be fired. I don't even know if they have the legal right to fire her for
Right.
something like that. But I think it definitely teaches us lessons about doing selfies on our phone. Just know that there's a risk to it. I mean, you don't do it. It just means you have to know that there's a risk and that you
Right.
have to account for that risk. Don't take the naked selfie and then hand your phone to a child. You never know if you're going to end up on Facebook. Well, thank you very much, Noma. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for checking us out with this awkward, weird conversation. And I really do wish Miss Jones the best. I'm sorry that this happened. And I say for everybody watching, just be careful with your phone. Don't let the kitty see you naked. It's just hard to live down. Well, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless and have a wonderful day. We're gone. Peace.